Are we good?
Yes.
Are we feeling energized?
Yes.
Are you ready to awaken the superhero in you?
Yes.
Are you ready to explore a whole new world where you can step in and collect the master key to your life, which is the master key is where your pain and your struggles and your patterns began. Who's ready? Okay, and thank you for joining me, and I'm going to do a little introduction. So my name is Terry Messenger. I'm too loud. All good. And I'm a world-class master NLP trainer, if you don't mind. Excuse me for my humbleness. And a clinical hypnotherapist. And I have a passion to unleash people from their blockages. I have a passion to release people from all of the suffocation of the patterns of the past that they've been trapped under. So what I love to do is I love to uncover things. I love to lift the lid off people's ceiling that is stopping and blocking you for being everything you want to be and more. Now, can I get a show of hands if you've ever experienced pain in your life? Okay, so that's just about 100% of us. Can I get a show of hands if you've ever experienced some sort of a struggle where you really need to conquer something? And would it be fair to say, have you ever, or do you have a pattern that you just would love to let go of? Okay, then that makes you a potential superhero. So everyone has this superhero in them, and I'm about to give you the master key. Now let me tell you a little bit about the master key. So firstly, I have a disclaimer. So as a master NLP trainer since 2006, I have collaborated and created the techniques that I'm about to show you today based upon, obviously, Robert Dilts, Richard Bandler, Milton Erickson, all of the big names that you may have heard of, and even Dean Graziosi. I'm going to make a mention of Dean Graziosi. So they're not entirely my own. However, where do we learn anything from? And this is what I say to my students. When I show you something and I give you a technique, make it your own. Put your own spin on it and make it your own. And here is the master key. Who wants the master key? The secret, because I know there's a lot of people here that are professionals, so there's a lot of professionals here, a lot of hypnotherapists, a lot of people that are obviously already in business, and you know a lot about this industry. You know an induction. You know what it's like to say, now I'm going to take you deeper and deeper and deeper. And as you go into that wonderful, relaxed, peaceful, joyful trance, you'll feel this sensation dropping all the way down. So you understand a lot of the concepts, and so I am not proclaiming to own these myself. What I am saying is that I have recreated them because I am a creator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to firstly help you to unlock the master key, because seeing as you said you wanted it, this is where the master key holds the hidden treasure of your life. And the master key is involved in your pain, your struggle, and your patterns and your beliefs that you thought you weren't good enough. That caused you to think that you weren't enough, or that you're trapped in that old behaviour. And I'm here to tell you that is your master key. Because this is going to be the element when I'm working with my coaches I tell them it is your pain of your story that becomes your future glory. Because there are people out there that are praying for you. If you have got a struggle of your own, if you've got something that's even a little bit weird and wacky, even better, I'm jealous of you. Because the weirder and the wackier, I can tell you that there's somebody that wants to know about it. There's someone suffering exactly the same thing. You are not completely original when it comes to your problems and the struggles and the pain that you've had in your life. So what this does is it unlocks a master key. And that master key unlocks the fact that all of a sudden, you know, when someone tells me about all their problems, and I think you guys know this, that around hypnotherapy and quite often NLP, it's very content free. Would you guys agree with that? Quite often, like we saw Joanna the other day, and how she was able to make this magic happen in absolutely no time. And you know the reason why? Because she didn't have to get caught up in the whole fluff of the story and all the stuff that went with it. She spoke straight into the subconscious mind, and she was able to work that craft. So in the same way, you've got three elements to what I'm going to be dealing with today. Number one, your logic. That's the part where you look at her and go, oh, she's wearing that pink dress, you know, like, might look at my hair, might check me out a bit. You know, that's our judgment side. And everybody has that judgment side. Number two is your subconscious. You all know about the subconscious. And the subconscious is like the brain surgeon. Because when you can get in and you can tap in to that element of your life, and you can speak to the subconscious, but you've got to handle it with kitty gloves. Because remember, your pain, your struggles, and all those patterns that you're doing, and you keep on doing, and all these things that are happening, even what you shared with me before, your subconscious mind is involved in that. Because that's your entire nervous system at work. So that is your brain surgeon, when you can reach in and you can speak and you can say to yourself, I say to the coaches when they're first coming through, 2 questions. If you remember these 2 questions, you'll be good. This will go very well for you for life. Number 1, what is the purpose of this, whatever it is happening to you? Number 2, what do I need to learn? What is it that I need to learn? And then the master key, of course, is because when you come into this world of where you know you're going to be able to release it and you're going to be able to let it go, and it's going to happen so fast, what that means is that the healing, the modality, which, you know, your customer doesn't need to know about the modality that you're using. You know that, we've spoken about that. You know, if the technician comes over and wants to fix up your telly, do you say what spanner or what screwdriver? You don't need to look at his toolbox, but I'll go into that later. So really what it is they want a outcome. Would you agree? People are coming to you, you want an outcome. So if we really simplified everything here about neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy, we'd say, okay, there are 2 elements here. There's number 1 element, the person wants the outcome. But then on the other side, they've got the problem. And it's your role, or it's my role right now, to bridge the gap. To create a bridge between here and here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the active stuff. So the master key unlocks that door for you through your own pain, through your own trauma, through your own stress, because you are an authority. You are an authority on that, right? And that is absolutely priceless. And then the modality that we talk about that you don't need to talk about to your client is your mastery. And how many of those are you going to do? 55,000? You know, there's a lot of tools in the neuro-linguistic programming kit. And I think you guys know that there is a lot of people that go and study and go and learn and go and train, and there's a heck of a lot of them that don't do anything with it. Who would agree with that? And they don't know where to start. Well, start by the Bruce Lee saying, I'm more afraid of the man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times than the man that's done 10,000 kicks. Get good at one. I'm more afraid of the man, repeat again, he asked. I'm more afraid of the man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times than the one that has done 10,000 kicks. Be a master of one, a jack of all trades and a master of one. Now I'm going to actually ask a person to come up to the front, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a very powerful modality, and I'm not sure that even you hypnotherapists and master NLP trainers, if you are, or any kind of healing you've done, whether you've actually done this one, it comes from Dean Grazios, as I said, but it's finding your why. So I'd like you to, firstly, because when I do this with this one person, what's going to happen is it's going to have an impact on the whole class. So would that be okay? Would that be okay if you could have an outcome today where I take you through and I ensure that whatever I'm doing, I'm going to bring about a positive, great, fabulous outcome. Is that okay? Show of hands. Okay, now show me if you would like me to get in touch with your why. I'm going to do a muscle test on this. So I've got 1, 2, anybody else? 3. Okay, I'm just going to, actually, could I just, Joanna, could you come and hold the microphone for me for a sec? And I think having you standing next to me is probably...
Watch out.
Okay, so can you all put your hand up? Okay, just keep your hand just so I know, yep. It's you. Give her a hand. You can come up very strong though. But this one's very, 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 very strong in yourself. So you're all going to actually get something out of this. So would you like to take a seat, my lovely? You know, I had a practitioner's class that I took back in 2017. And, you know, we had a subject come up, only she was just somebody from off the streets. I mean, I hardly even knew the poor girl. And she was shaking, she was so nervous. Ever been nervous or anything like that, guys, about something? And you know what? I actually eliminated her nerves. What we did was we literally took her out on the highway, on Albany Highway, which is a main road, and we stopped traffic. But fortunately, because we had microphones, they thought we were a radio station and we're all dressed up, so we got away with it. So basically, by the time she got back into class, because there was so much weirdness and wackiness going on, it was kind of like a state change. And then so by the time we got back together in the class, she was just quite happy to be sitting with me like you are now.
So quick question, if I may.
Yes.
How did you pick up? What modality did you
Okay, so Joanna's just asked me, how did I pick her? I actually did a technique called kinesiology.
But you said you can do muscle testing, but I didn't.
Yeah, that was, I tested it with my finger. That's why I had needed you to hold the mic.
I didn't know how you did it.
Yes, good question. So I'll show you later. Okay. So, okay, I actually tested it too to wear this dress today, can you believe? You ask Anna Maria. I did 3 outfits and I went, which one am I going to wear? And I literally did a muscle test and came up with a pink one. She took about 15 minutes trying to get my zip up. Anyway, so, all right, so what's going to happen is we're going to go through a process, and I'm going to start off with a question. And the question is, if you could have anything that you want, that you would love to create as a goal, let's just say that this is going to be a magical moment, okay? And this is going to be a moment where you're actually going to bring something to life. Do you have something that you know that you'd really, really, really like to achieve? Beautiful. And that was to lift as many people's consciousness as possible. And now the question, why do you want to lift as many people's consciousness as possible? For the future of humanity, your grandchildren. And why do you want to do that for the future of humanity and your grandchildren? Because the morons are running the planet. And can you go into that a little bit more with me?
Well, the denial of climate change, the ignorance of climate change, the ignorance of just the fact that we have so much more potential within each and every human being. If we could start to communicate without fear and start to live with respect for life, starting with our own life, the life of our loved ones, the life of all life, and the life of this planet. Because it's because of fear, we're destroying everything. And this, at the moment, is happening for a reason, to slow us down and to give us time to reflect and think about how we are behaving. So it's a time for change of consciousness.
Sure. Okay, so now what I'm picking up, because we know as master neuro-linguistic programmers that it's all about the words, right? So there's a story in there about climate change and there's a story there. However, what it really comes down to is fear. Okay? So I'm going to ask you, without giving me any content, is fear something that you have experienced in your life? And if I was to ask you on a scale of 1 to 10, what scale your fear has been? Now, fear is like 10 off the Richter scale. 1, meh, hardly anything at all.
10.
And she said that with quite a lot of congruence. Did you see that? So this is what we're dealing with. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but it's strange, ironic, and no coincidence really, more of a God incidence, that you've come up on that one and you've been chosen. So you've been chosen by a subconscious and the universe, got nothing to do with me or you really, okay? So this is totally something, and I can see how affected you are, so we're going to actually unravel that. And I have a habit of making everybody cry within 2 minutes. So the first thing what I need to ask you is, close your eyes. First number between 0 and 8 that comes to your mind now. Okay, so we're dealing with the 5-year-old here. And now what I'd like to ask you is if you could turn this fear around. If you were thinking about, just imagine if you could go back and change time. What if you could go back and recreate your life and give yourself everything that little girl needed, that little child needed? I'm going to ask, what would be a really good, soothing, and would be a very good resource for this little child to have? Singing, okay. And singing from your grandma, what does that make you feel? Peace. Okay, so would it be fair to say that peace is a very strong value for you? And on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being really strong? How much you want peace, or how much you value peace?
10.
Yeah, okay. So it's we are totally on track. Okay? Fear was where I've come from, and peace is what I want. And the only problem is that there's been a lot of patterns that have been developed around there. Okay? So I've had, and it's interesting too that my first significant emotional event, because you all know that everything comes from the significant emotional events, happened at the age of 5. Yeah? And so the fact is that's then, right? This is now. For some reason, your subconscious mind has held on to every single memory and collated it into your nervous system. And it kind of like, that's the memory. So that's where the triggers come out. And even though there's a new story, there's a new day, and there's a new thing, do you ever find that you sort of have the same patterns repeating over and over? Does anybody relate to that, where you end up, you know, in that same relationship issue, or you end up in that same situation? Well, that's because your nervous system has recorded it. However, what if we could tell the nervous system, the subconscious mind, that today is the day, if it's okay, to release it, dissolve it, clear it, and alchemize it, and allow it to just flow away. Okay, so especially with your Scottish temper. Well, maybe the Scottish temper can be the big scenario where you're going to get rid of it. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is, if you had peace. Now remember, I've asked her why a few times, and we've actually got down to about 3 times before we hit. And I'm just going to give you some conscious competency around this. Are you interested in knowing what I'm doing here a little bit? So what I've been waiting for is to find the why and to hit the jackpot. The jackpot is in the pain and the struggle. So the pain and the struggle is the fear. And then obviously I stop asking why, because I think anyone who knows enough about this kind of work, you do not ask a person why. If they're saying to you that they've had a bad day, the last question you do is ask them why. You don't want to go down a rabbit hole with them, nor do you want to take them down the rabbit hole. So the question is what? What is the purpose? What is the learning? And what would you prefer? So what if I told you that this was not really about you? What if I told you that you are a superhero? And so if you went to a movie with me, let's just say we went to see a movie together, right? And we went to see Wonder Woman or Superman or some action, you know, really, really big box office smash. And we sat there together in the movies, and like this big screen here, right? This big screen showed this whole movie, and all it was rainbows and butterflies all the way through. It was just rainbows. Would you say that was boring? Well, you know, if you were paying to go and see a good movie, where's the superhero? How can there be a superhero if there's nothing to conquer? So what if I told you that this is all just part of a higher purpose? That you have been called to something greater. And this is where we get into the why, and your why, do you see what I'm saying? Do you hear? Yeah, I can see that whole resonation just lit up in your face. So it's like everything that happened back there is all relative to the future of your superhero. So now what we're going to do is, I'm going to ask you the question, now peace. What would it be like to have peace? Blissful. I love that. What do you reckon, guys? Blissful? Does anybody, by the way, I need to check with the audience that you guys like the thought of feeling peaceful and blissful. Is that cool with everyone? Okay, so, all right, because, I mean, you are welcome to leave the room if it's not resonating. So I believe it's more important to be aligned here. So now that we've got peace and blissfulness, tell me, what is going to be so much better with your life now that you have peace and blissfulness? What's it going to feel like?
Including myself, weren't worried about things or didn't have fear. We'd just be so productive as amazing beings that we're meant to be.
How good is that? What do you reckon? Would you like that, guys? Would you like to be productive and just have that kind of element that, you know, that this lady is sharing? So would you say it's productive? What does productive feel like? What's the character of the emotion behind productivity? What is the emotion? Okay. Can you remember a time when you were really, really productive? Okay, so close your eyes all the way down and just go deep, deep, deep inside. And you guys do that too if you like. And just go and find a moment. It doesn't matter whether you were washing the dishes or doing something profound. I want you to discover that moment when you were so productive. And this productive, it created this feeling inside you. And then there was another feeling that happened when you had finished that. So at the end of the productivity. So now you've got the feeling during, and then you've got the feeling after. And if you were going to put a name on it, what would you give it? Okay, so we definitely know peace. So therefore, do I have permission to ask the audience? Anybody got a feeling or an emotion that, you know, comes from productivity, of where you've smashed something out, you've got something done, and you've felt that feeling, and then you've got it at the end as well? Anybody relate to that? Okay, can I ask you what your feeling would be, emotion?
It's actually, it's probably a bit weird, but it's, I used to have an office with an ex-partner going way back, and I haven't had that for a long time, and it's getting bills done and feeling like I'm on top of my game. Yeah, top of my, everything's organisation, which don't feel like I have had for a long time, but it was way back, we're talking 12 years ago.
So that's okay. It could be any amount as well. Thank you for sharing. So we've got organisation, top of the game. Okay, Joanna?
Confidence.
Confidence, okay. Are you listening? Okay. Was there anybody else?
Satisfaction.
Listen up.
Satisfaction.
Yeah, I said the same thing, but with
Satisfaction.
a sense of accomplishment.
Self-worth.
Self-worth. Woo. Any ladies over here? Oh, we've got excited. Okay, you have a smorgasbord. You better choose, girlfriend. Self-worth. Is that okay? Do I get an eye for everybody on that? All right, awesome. So let's go with self-worth. We have a pretty good recipe. What do you reckon? For you to inject self-worth into that little child. For that child to be so, so peaceful and blissful and then productive. Yeah? Obviously. Okay, awesome. So now, is this going to be a good formula for you? And now that you know what your outcome is that you asked for, why do you want that?
To achieve, to connect more, to
And
be more creative.
achieve more, connect more, and be more creative. And why do you want that?
Satisfaction, the same sort of words.
And why do you want to be satisfied?
Peace.
Okay, so peace it is. Okay, everyone give her a big round of applause. Fantastic. Okay, don't go away. We haven't finished with you yet. Okay, all right. So, you know, this is how it goes. You know, life is one of those things where we go through from 3 significant emotional events, and it's like a thread of cotton. So for me, my journey started out in 2006. So this was a time in my life where I was at the darkest ebb of my life. But really everything that was going on in my life, with my marriage breakdown, with everything that was happening, where I felt totally isolated, where I felt like I was even ostracized, that my family had even deserted me. And it was a very, very lonely, dark place. And so this is where my journey started. And so in 1 week of doing practitioners, my life transformed. However, there were things that created this, because I might say to you today that the breakdown of my marriage, and I do apologise for having my back to you, the breakdown of my marriage probably wouldn't have happened if I had known what I know today. However, it was meant to have happened. It was still a divine part of my whole life. So there were other elements as well, because then there was me as a teenager. And I had a very, very low sense of my own self-worth. And at 18 years of age, I was sacked from 8 jobs in a row. Not too good for the old self-esteem. And, you know, so there was for me a big landmark. And then, of course, as I shared at 5 years of age, just like yourself, this is where my first initial significant emotional event began. So what happens is, imagine if you could come back here. Imagine if you can come all the way back here, you guys, and even go back into the light before time, before ancestral, before anything, and connect into the light where it is perfect, where it is blissful, where life is empty and meaningless and has no meaning. It is infinite, unlimited, and you are just a soul and a being, and you are here. And then suddenly your favorite archangel arrives at the scene, or God, or the universe, or that presence, and says to you, you are about to become a superhero. You are now needing to go through your life, and you're going to go through this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Because out here, you are going to arrive at your destination where you achieve your goal. Greatness doesn't come out of cotton wool. So at this stage, can you come and stand over here for me? Because what I'm going to get you to do is, I'm spatially anchoring her, right? So standing here, closing your eyes and just letting go of the audience, and just feel into the visualization of the future. You can do this too, guys. Just go into the future and just magnificently drop down in and through and feel what it is that you truly desire within your soul, and just allow your super consciousness to be the element, the all-powerful one. It's as if the super consciousness already knows what the unconscious needed to do to get you here. The unconscious mind is just suspended for a moment. It's just waiting, and it's just going to go through some, transformation and alchemization and understanding and respect. So your super conscious is well above you. So as you are here and you are experiencing this amazing experience, I want you now to open your eyes, and I want you to look back to the past. So just stay there for me. And so all of this was a thing of the past, but it's like, here is the light. I'm standing in the light. This is before you were born. This is before your ancestors. And what's actually happening is you are here saying that's where you're going to be. But you need to go through this. Sorry. You need to do this to get there. Is it worth it? Okay, awesome. All right. So this is the part where we need to do this very, very quickly. So what we're going to do, and I'm sure that a lot of you practitioners will know what I'm doing here, because I'm doing a few techniques and I'm kind of rolling them. So we're going to just imagine that you've spatially anchored, and I'm going to get you, go back to the seat, and we're going to do it in our mind. So go back to your seat here, and just close your eyes down shut. And I want to thank your subconscious mind for all of those things. And I want you to know that the subconscious has done this to protect you. There's been a higher purpose, and there's been so many learnings. And maybe you might need to come to understand, or maybe you already do understand some of those reasons now. So as you come into this divine, aligned expression of understanding that all superheroes needed to conquer something, that if you and I went to a movie, it's so much more interesting to watch a movie where the superhero needed to smash out a whole load of stuff. So I just want you all to repeat after me. So I want you to know that your super conscious is going to hand you the patterns and the knowledge of what has been holding you back from your ultimate goal. And I'm going to ask you to make this decree if you agree. I'm going to say the decree first. I decree to dissolve, clear, and transmute these negative patterns and feelings. So if you agree, I'll just get you to say that.
I agree.
I'll say it again. I decree
I decree
to dissolve, clear and transmute
to dissolve, clear and transmute
those old feelings of fear
those old feelings of fear
and all those negative patterns.
and all those negative patterns.
Okay, so now as you dissolve, clear and transmute it, just let it go all the way back through time, all the way back through time, even beyond your own generation, even beyond, just clearing, dissolving. And I want you to imagine now that you're connecting into the light. And so as you clear and you alchemize, just connect into the light and feel the sense of this going right through every cell of your body. And every part of you is clearing, dissolving and transmuting it. It's like everything is just fading away. And now I want you to just know that you're in a space of nothingness, but it's so nothing that it's everything.